Have you ever wished you could go back in time, to that one moment you regret, to fix a silly mistake, or even relive the happiest day of your life? It sounds like the plot of a Hollywood blockbuster, doesn't it? But what if I told you that scientists are actually exploring ways to reverse time? Not in some far-off imaginary galaxy, but right here in our own world. It might sound like science fiction, but let me show you why it might not be as impossible as it sounds. Time, as we know it, seems to flow in only one direction: forward. You wake up, have breakfast, go to work, watch some YouTube videos, and time keeps ticking by. But why is that? What forces time to march forward so relentlessly? The answer lies in a mind-boggling concept called entropy. Entropy is a term from the second law of thermodynamics and is a measure of disorder in a system. It basically says that everything in the universe naturally moves from a state of order to a state of disorder. For example, let's say you spill a cup of coffee on the floor. The coffee splatters in all directions. That's entropy in action. It's easy for chaos to occur, but putting each coffee droplet back into the cup in precisely the right way, that's almost impossible. And this same law of increasing chaos governs the arrow of time. But here's where it gets wild. What if we could manipulate systems to reverse entropy? Would that mean we could reverse time? In a groundbreaking 2019 experiment, scientists used a quantum computer to explore this very idea. They created a simulated quantum particle and reversed its state, essentially making it move back in time. Let me repeat that. They made a quantum particle behave as if it were going backward in time. I know what you're thinking. Is this a step toward building a real-life time machine? Before we get too carried away, let's put this into perspective. The experiment was done on a microscopic quantum level, involving particles so tiny that you could fit trillions of them inside a single grain of sand. Scaling this up to something meaningful, say, reversing time for an entire human being, or even just a cup of spilled coffee, is far more complicated. At the quantum level, particles behave under a set of rules that are completely different from what we experience every day. It's like trying to compare a board game to flying an airplane. Both have rules, but they're just not in the same category. Still, the implications are fascinating. If we could find a way to reverse time at larger scales, even in localized circumstances, like undoing a chemical reaction or an accident, it could revolutionize how we think about science, medicine, and even history. Imagine a world where catastrophic mistakes could be undone at the push of a button. Medical surgeries gone wrong could be reversed. Technological malfunctions could be undone. And who knows? Maybe one day, personal regrets could be erased like words on a chalkboard. But don't get your hopes up just yet. There's another massive barrier: energy. Reversing entropy in any kind of meaningful way would require an enormous amount of energy, possibly more than we could realistically ever generate. Think about how much energy it takes to power something as simple as a toaster. The amount of energy we would need to reverse something even on the microscopic level is exponentially higher. And then there's the problem of paradoxes. Remember all the time travel movies? There's always that one moment where someone messes up the timeline, like stepping on a butterfly in the past and accidentally erasing a whole future civilization. If reversing time ever became a reality, who's to say we wouldn't encounter the same issues? Quantum physics, however, might provide some interesting solutions. In quantum theory, time isn't as rigid as we perceive it to be. Some theories even suggest that time isn't a one-way street, but more like a sprawling maze with lots of paths, some going forward, others going backward. Could this mean that time travel might be less about breaking the laws of physics and more about working with them? Maybe. One fascinating thought experiment that often comes up in discussions about time is the idea of the block universe, where past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. Imagine a giant loaf of bread, where each slice represents a moment in time. To us, living day by day, we're like ants walking slice by slice. But in reality, the entire loaf, or the entire timeline, is already there. If this is true, reversing time might be more like flipping through the pages of a book to reread a chapter. rather than rewriting the entire story. So, where does all this leave us? Are we any closer to unlocking the secrets of time reversal? The answer is yes and no. The recent experiments in quantum physics show us that, at least on a tiny scale, manipulating time might be possible. But everything we've learned so far suggests that scaling this up to the level of everyday life, or even individual moments, is still far beyond our current capabilities. However, just because something seems impossible today doesn't mean it will remain that way forever. After all, humanity has a long history of overcoming the odds. There was a time when people thought heavier-than-air flight was impossible, or that humans would never reach the moon. And yet, here we are, flying through the skies and sending robots to Mars. Science is all about challenging the limits of what we think is possible. So, while you may not be hopping into a time machine anytime soon, what we've learned about quantum physics and entropy gives us hope that our understanding of time will continue to evolve. Who knows? Maybe one day, someone watching a video just like this will look back and think, oh, they had no idea what was coming next. For now though, the best advice I can give you is to live each moment as fully and meaningfully as possible. While science continues its work to uncover the mysteries of time, your time is now. And that, in and of itself, makes this journey through life pretty extraordinary, doesn't it? Thank you for joining me today. And if you enjoyed this journey into the mysteries of time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating scientific facts.